22:1 through 25. I think it's 25, verse 18. Yep, 23:1, excuse me, 23:1 through 25:18. Right. So, going right to it, is anybody able to read chapter 23? 23:1. We're going to go all the way to 25:18, but somebody can read chapter 23, that'd be great.
I'm in the car, so I can't ride.
Okay, I can go ahead and get it. Not a problem. Just curious. Here we go. And Sarah lived 127 years, the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, which is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial places. None of us withholds from you his burial site from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Sohar, for me. And let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. And let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver, as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me. I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth. 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field in Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, for all who went in at the gate of the city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yah had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but go to my land and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Yitzhak. And the servant said to him, What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, Beware lest you take my son back there. Yah Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, To your seed I give this land. He sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left. For all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he rose and went to Aram Naharayim, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, Yah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet me before me this day. Please cause her to meet before me this day and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, I'm standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please, let down your jar to let me drink. And she says, drink, and let me water your camels too. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitzhak. And let me know by this that you have shown kindness to my master. And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Rivkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, please, let me drink a little water from your jar. And she said, drink, my master. And she hurried and let down her jar to her hand and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, let me draw water for your camels too, till they have finished drinking. And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yah had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, whose daughter are you? Please inform me. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. And she said to him, we have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night. And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yah. And he said, blessed be Yah Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me being on my way, Yah led me to the house of my master's brothers. Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Rivkah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to meet the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrist, and when he heard the words of his sister Rivkah saying, thus the man spoke to me, that he went out to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, come in, O blessed of Yah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels. So the man came into the house, while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, let me not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, speak on. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and Yah has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, do not take a wife for my son from the daughter of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, what if the woman does not follow me? But he said to me, Yah, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you and shall prosper your way. You shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. And this day I came to the fountain and said, Yah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the maiden comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink, and she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too, let her be the woman whom Yah has appointed for my master's son. I had not yet ended speaking in my heart, then see, Rivkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder. She went down to the fountain and drew water, and I said to her, please let me drink. And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? She said, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed my head and worshiped Yah and blessed Yah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you're going to show kindness and truth to my master, let me know. And if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yah. We are not able to speak to you either good or evil. See, Ribkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yah has spoken. And it came to be, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yah. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments, and gave them to Ribkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. But her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go. And he said to them, do not delay me, since Yah has prospered my way. Let me go so that I go to my master. And they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Ribkah and asked and said to her, are you going with this man? She said, I shall go. So they let Ribkah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and his men. So they let go Ribkah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Ribkah and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands and of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Ribkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribkah and left. And Yitzhak came from the way of Be'er Lechai Ro'i, for he dwelt in the south. And Yitzhak went out to meditate in the field, and he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. And Ribkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yitzhak, she dismounted from her camel. She said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitzhak all the matters he had done. And Yitzhak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Ribkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yitzhak was comforted after his mother's death. 25, 1 through 18. And
All
Abraham took
right. You got
You got it?
Yep.
All right, Torah.
All right. Genesis 25. And Abraham took another wife whose name was Getara, and she bore Zimran and Yokshan and Medan and Midian and Misbah and Shua. And Yokshan brought forth Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim and let's Tushim and Alay Umimin. And the sons of my Midian were Epa and Epher and Hancock, Hanok and Abida and Elda, and all these were children of Kutara. And Abram gave all he had to Yitzhak, Yitzhak. But the sons of the concubines were whom Abraham had. Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yitzhak eastward to the land of the east. All these are the years of Abraham's life, which he lived 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in good old age, and aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his son Yitzhak and Yishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Epron, son of Sohar, and the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth, where there Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to be after the death of Abraham that Elohim blessed his son Yitzhak, and Yitzhak dwelt at Beer Lahai Roa. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham, son of Hagar, and Mitzrayim, the Mitzrayim, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the son of Ishmael, the son, and their names according to their generation. And the firstborn of Ishmael, Nebaioth, then Kedar, and Abiel, and Mibsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Maza, and Hadar, and Timah, and Utar, and Napesh, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael. 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Hawilah as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim, as you go toward Ashur. He settled before all his brothers.
Hallelujah. Todah Rabbah for your reading. Yeshar Koah. We're going ahead and close out the blessing for the Torah. Read as follows. Hallelujah. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah noten Torah. Amen. So blessed are you, Yah El, King of the universe, who has given to us the Torah of truth and planted within us life everlasting. Blessed are you, Yah, who gives us the Torah. Amen. So now we go to the half Torah. Which reads as follows. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nevi'im tovim v'aretzah b'devarim hanomarim b'amet. Baruch atah habacher b'torah Moshe avodo v'Israel amo nevi'icha amet v'asadech. Amen. Blessed are you, Yah El, King of the universe, who has given us devoted prophets, messengers of truth, upholding their teachings. Blessed are you, Yah, who loves the Torah, Moshe his servant, Israel his people, and prophets of truth and righteousness. Amen. So we're going to pick up with, actually, Ezekiel, book of Enoch, chapter 17. We're going to read through 17 to 20. Let's do 22. It reads as follows. Did we read? I think we read 17 last time. Yeah, we did. 10,000 years. I think we pick up on 19. Yeah. Here we go. It says, and Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand to the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of. And the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens. And I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the ends of all things, and no man shall see as I have seen. We read that. And these are the names of the holy angels who watch. Uriel, one of the holy angels who is over the world and over Tartarus. Raphael, one of the holy angels who is over the spirits of men. Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind and over chaos, Sarachiel, one of the holy angels who was set over the spirits who sin in the spirit, Gabriel, one of the holy angels who was over paradise and the serpents and the cherubim, Rimiel, one of the holy angels who Elohim set over those who rise. And I proceeded where things were chaotic, and I saw something horrible. I saw neither a heaven above nor a firmly founded earth, but a place chaotic and horrible. And there I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, like great mountains and burning with fire. Then I said, for what sin are they bound, and on what account have they been cast in hither? Then said Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me and was chief over them, and said, Enoch, why dost thou ask, and why art thou eager for the truth? These are of the number of the stars of heaven, which have transgressed the commandment of Yah, and are bound here till 10,000 years. The time entailed by their sins are consummated. And from thence I went to another place, where was still more horrible than the former. And I saw a horrible thing, a great fire, which burnt and blazed, and the place was cleft as far as the abyss, being full of great descending columns of fire. Neither its extent or magnitude could I see, nor could I conjecture. Then I said, how fearful is the place, and how terrible to look upon it. Then Uriel answered me, one of the holy angels who was with me, and said unto me, Enoch, why hast thou such fear and affright? And I answered, because of this fearful place, and because of the spectacle of the pain. And he said unto me, this place is the prison of the angels, and here they will be in prison forever. And thence I went to another place, and he mountain of hard rock. There must be of mountain and of hard rock. And there was in 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. How smooth are the hollow places, and deep and dark to look at. And Raphael answered, one of the holy angels who was with me, and he said to me, these hollow places have been created for this very purpose, that the spirits of the souls of the dead should assemble therein. Yea, and all the souls of the children of men should assemble here. These places have been made to receive them till the day of their judgment, until their appointed time, or till their appointed period, till the period appointed, till the great judgment comes upon them. I saw the spirit of the dead man making soup, and his voice went forth to heaven and made soup. And I asked Raphael, the angel who was with me, and I said unto him, this spirit which maketh soup, whose is it? Whose voice goes forth and makes soup to heaven? And he answered me, saying, this is the spirit which went forth from Chabel, whom his brother Chayei slew. And he makes his suit against him till his seed is destroyed from the face of the earth, and his seed is annihilated from amongst the seed of men. Then I asked regarding it, and regarding all the hollow places, why is one separated from the other? And he answered me and said unto me, these 3 have been made by the spirits of the dead, that the spirits of the dead might be separated. And such a division has been made for the spirits of the righteous, in which there is the bright spring of water. And such has been made for sinners when they die and are buried in the earth, and judgment has not been executed on them in their lifetime. Here their spirits shall be set apart in this great pain to the great day of judgment and punishment and torment of those who curse forever, and retribution for their spirits. There he shall bind them forever. And such a division has been made for the spirits of those who make their suit, who make disclosures concerning their destruction, when they were slain in the days of the sinners. Such has been made for the spirits of men who were not righteous, but sinners, who were complete in transgression. And of the transgressors they shall be companions, but their spirits shall not be slain in the day of judgment, nor shall they be raised from thence. Then I blessed the master of esteem and said, blessed be Yah, the master of righteousness, who rules forever. From thence I went to another place to the west of the ends of the earth, and I saw a burning fire which ran without resting, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly. And I asked, saying, what is this which rests not? And Raguel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered me and said unto me, this course of fire which thou see is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of the heavens. Last chapter here. And from thence I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it and saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing from each other. And the stones thereof were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. 3 towards the east, one founded on the other, and 3 toward the south, one upon the other. And deep rough ravines, not one of which joined with any other. And the 7th mountain was in the midst of these, and it excelled them in height, resembling the seat of a throne, and fragrant trees encircled the throne. And amongst them was a tree as such as I had never yet smelt, neither was any amongst them, nor were others like it. It had a fragrance beyond all fragrance, and its leaves and blooms and wood wither not forever. And its fruit is beautiful, and its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. And I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant, and its leaves are fair, and its blooms very delightful in appearance. And Michael, one of the holy angels and honored angels who was with me, and was their leader. Now, I guess it makes sense to read this here. And he said to me, Enoch, why dost thou ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree? Why dost thou wish to learn the truth? And I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially this tree. And he answered, saying, this high mountain which thou hast seen, whose summit is like the throne of Elohim, is his throne, where the holy great one, the master of esteem, the eternal king, will sit when he shall come down to visit the earth with goodness. And as for this fragrant tree, nor mortal is permitted to touch it till the great judgment, when he shall take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever. It shall be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit shall be for food to the elect. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of Yah, the eternal king. Then shall they rejoice with joy and be glad. And into the holy place shall they enter, and its fragrance shall be in their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, such as their fathers lived. And in their days shall no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then blessed I, the master of esteem, the eternal king, who hath prepared such things for the righteous, and has created them, and promised to give to them. Selah. If somebody can close us up, we'll read John chapter 4, verses 1 through 14.
Right. John chapter 4, verses 1 through 14. 1 reads, so when the master knew that the Pharisees had heard that Yahshua made and immersed more top ones than Yohanan, although Yahshua himself did not immerse, but his top, he left Yahuda and went away again to Galilee. And he had to pass through Shemaron. So he came to the city of Shemaron, called Shechem, near the piece of land Yaakov gave to his son Joseph. And Yaakov fountain was there. So Yahshua, being weary from the journey, was sitting thus at the fountain. It was about the 6th hour. A woman of Shemaron came in to draw water. Yahshua said to her, give me to drink. For his top ones had gone off to the city to buy food. The woman of Shemaron therefore said to him, how is it that you, being a Yehudite, ask to drink from me, a woman of Shemaron? For Yahudim do not associate with Shemarites or Shemaronites. Yahshua answered and said to her, if you know the gift of Elohim and who it is who says to you, give me to drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. And the woman said to him, Master, You have no vessel, and the well is deep. From where, then, do you have living water? Are you greater than your father Yaakov, who gave us the well and drank from it himself and his sons and his cattle? Yahshua answered and said to her, everyone drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst. And the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life.
Y'all told our Rabbah for your reading. Yeshua Koach, closing out. Baruch atah Eloheinu, melech haolam, sucho hualamim zadik b'kol hadarot, ha'er ha'ne'eman, ha'omer va'oseh, ha'midbar kayam, shekar debarev met v'asedek, ne'eman atachu ya Eloheinu, v'anamonim debarecha, v'dabar echad midbarecha, achor lo yishuv rachayam, ki yeh melech ne'eman v'rachaman atah, baruch atah ya, ha'er ha'ne'eman b'kol debarav, amen. Rachem el Sion ki hi bet hayenu, velelobot nefesh Hoshia b'mhara b'yamenu, Baruch atah ya, masmiach Sion b'baneha, amen. Semechenu ya Eloheinu, be'eliyahu hanabi avodecha, u'me'achut bet David, Meshiecha, b'amhara yaboy v'yegel levanu, el kiso lo yishiv, zar velo yinachalu od acharim od kavodo. כי בשם קושך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבה נורו לעולם ויד, ברוך אתה יה מגן דוד, אמן. ואל התורה ואל העבודה ואל הנביאים ואל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו יה אלוהינו, להקדישה מנוחה לכבוד ותפארת, אל הכל יה אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך, בפי קולך תמיד לעולם ויד, ברוך אתה יה מחדש השבת, amen. Blessed are you, Yah Eloheinu, who rules the King of the universe, rock of all ages, righteous in all generations, steadfast El, whose word is deed, whose decree is fulfillment, whose every teaching is truth and righteousness. Faithful are you, Yah El, and all your promises, of which not one will remain unfulfilled. For you are a faithful and merciful El and sovereign. Blessed are you, Yah, faithful in all your promises. Amen. Show compassion for Sion, the fount of our existence, and bring hope soon to the humbled spirit. Blessed are you, Yah, who brings joy to Sion. Amen. Bring us joy, Yah Eloheinu, through your prophet Eliah, in the kingdom of the house of David, your anointed. May Eliah come soon to gladden our hearts. May no outsider usurp David's throne, and may no other inherit his esteem. For by your set-apart name, you have promised that his light shall never be extinguished. Blessed are you, Yah, shield of David. Amen. We thank you and praise you, Yah Eloheinu, for the Torah, for worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat, which you have given us for set apartness and rest, for dignity and splendor. We thank you and praise you for all things. May your name be blessed continually by every living creature. Blessed are you, Yah, who sets apart Shabbat. Amen. And so we review Chayei Sarah, the life of our Ima, the matriarch, Sarah. And so one of the very interesting notions that is related from the sages, and I'm going to pull up Sephariah, is that Sarah, at 100 years old, was as beautiful as she was when she was 20. It was not only beautiful, but also pure and innocent as she was when she was 7. And when she was 20, her purity and innocence and her beauty was as if she was 7 years old. And so in saying that, what would you say was the preserving factor that allowed Sarah to exude such beauty and purity when she was 100, when she was 20, when she was 7, and also when she was 127? What kept Sarah those years? What was it that preserved the life of Sarah during those 127 years? Say that again, Ima?
Was that her relationship with Yah?
As expressed through what?
Her worship.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And could a lot
How?
of it be?
Go ahead.
And another thing with that is their diet.
That's huge. Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And so all this is typified by her observance of Torah, though. The fact that she was observant of Yah's Torah kept and preserved her, right? This is so profound for us, right? Let's look at this here. We read this chapter a lot, but really looking into this chapter and understanding what it is saying in terms of how powerful Torah is, right? Let's see. Blessed is the man who has found wisdom and the man who gets understanding. For the gain from it is better than gain from silver, and it's increased in fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all your delights are not comparable to her. Length of days is in her right hand, right? Riches and esteem in her left hand. Her ways are pleasant ways, all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those taking hold of her, and blessed are all who retain her. Yah founded the earth by wisdom, he established the heavens by understanding. Continue on, right? By his knowledge, the depths were broken up, and clouds dropped down dew. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Watch over sound wisdom and discretion. Then they become life to your being and an adorning to your neck. Then you would walk safely in your way, and your foot would not stumble. When you lie down, you need not be afraid, and you shall lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet. Not be afraid of sudden. Well, just going on. This is the preservative, though. This is how we become the salt of the earth, right? As we are told by Yahushua that we are the salt of the earth. Well, the way that we become salt, the way that Sarah was preserved and became salt, so to speak, was because she was kept by the one to whom she was intent on keeping, his word. It's like when we keep Yah's word will keep us. That is like the principle. The more we keep Yah's word, the more Yah's word will keep us. This is how Sarah was able to endure for 127 years. Not to say her life was without tumult, not to say her life was without challenge. We know she was challenged. We know that she encountered even jealousy and bitterness, right? She encountered strife. She died, matter of fact, when she found out that Isaac was supposedly dead. That's what took Sarah out. So the thing is, we may have been under some misconceptions, especially earlier in our walk, that once we, leave a life of faithfulness, that we will never have those challenges, that everything would be free from challenge. Everything would be, uphill. Well, not so much uphill climb, but it should be easy. That's when your tests begin, because what happens is the world, knowing that you have promises that are to come and blessings that are to come, will do everything. It will throw everything at you to prevent you from entering into that blessedness. That's how this world works. And even still, on top of it, Yah will test you to see if you're worthy to receive the blessings. And I think that's something that we should really understand. Now, remember, Yah does not tempt us, but Yah does try and test us. He wants to see if we are who we say we are. And so those tests will come. Sarah endured her tests, and she was faithful unto death. She died in Kiryat Arba. Very interesting. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. Kiryat Arba is a word that means, I believe, the four corners. Genesis 23. Well, they make that word look crazy there. Kiryat Arba. The city of Arba. It's a four-cornered city. The city of the four giants, so to speak, as well. There's also a name, we know it as Hebron. So Kiryat Arba is Hebron. Anybody know the significance of Hebron? What is significant about Hebron? What becomes significant about city of Hebron? A couple of things about Hebron. Hebron was where Caleb and Joshua went when they first entered into the city to visit the cave of Machpelah to get inspired and to stay true to the mission. Hebron was also the place, one of the places where David was to rule. He ruled from Hebron, I believe, for 7 years, and then he ruled from Jerusalem for 33 years. I think that's what ended up happening.
Can I ask a question?
Please do.
Can I ask about these giants that were they was that literal, or because it's got a reference in Numbers, I think it's 13 and 22 about well, their father. Well, I mean, what were they about? Well, I mean, why was it they mentioned, or it was just because of the city?
You talking about Achiman, Shisha, Talmai, the descendants of Anak, the Anakim?
Yeah, I can't
Children
say
of Anak.
their name. I guess you got it right.
Yeah, man, I just put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I can't say their name.
Let's see who the Anakim were. Who were the Anakim? Descendants of Anak.
It says over there a race of giants.
Also, they
Yeah,
said that's where Adam and Eve and Abraham and Sarah were. Abram and Sarah was buried in that place. I can't say the name of it.
they call them Titanics here. The
What's
Anakim
that?
are the same Titanic race as the Rephaim, the Nephilim, the
The
Gibberim, the
Zamzum,
Zaphum, and the Emim. To mean neck.
Zanzumim, Emim.
They wore neck chains heaped upon neck chains. They were Mr. T like, all right? They were a gang of neck chains. But it also meant that they were oppressing people. They were forced. They seized the solar disk and cried, "Send us rain," or they squeezed heads into the sun.
Oh,
The three sons of Anak who filled the spies with awe and fear by their gigantic stature, Achiman, Shisha, and Talmai. The first is represented in Numbers, Rabbah, as challenging passers-by, saying, "Whose brother will fight with me?" On Achiman. The second stood there stolid as a block of marble, and the third made deep furrows in the soil with every step.
Wow.
When the spies
Wow.
saw these men towering up to the sky and looking as if piercing the sun, they were afraid and said, "We are not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than he. That is stronger than even Yah himself," they would say. Ooh-wee. Of the size of the Anakim, a midrash fragment found by Schechter in a Pentateuch commentary of the 13th century and published by him in Semitic studies in memory of Alexander Kohut gives the following description. The daughter of Anak had gone into her father's garden and taken a pomegranate, which she ate, and after having peeled off the skin and cast it aside, then the 12 spies came, seeing her father, were struck with fear and hid themselves under the pomegranate skin, believing it to be a cave. The daughter of Anak in the meantime came back, and seeing the pomegranate skin still lying there, was afraid lest her father might scold her for lack of neatness. She therefore took the pomegranate skin with the 12 spies hidden therein and cast it out of the garden, noticing the weight added by the men no more than if the skin had been the shell of an egg. The legend bears a striking resemblance to the story of the giant's daughter reprinted in Grimm's Kinder und Harmschund, or whatever that is. Critical view of the origin of the Anakim is unknown. They have left no trace in history. One possible but uncertain remains of them compare Nowak. The name Anak is an etymological puzzle. The meaning of B'nai Ha'anak is uncertain. It is interpreted by some as the long-necked, by others the necklace wearers. It is perhaps non-Semitic. Josephus relates that the spies found at Hebron the posterity of the giants, and this tallies with Joshua 14:15, according to which Hebron was the city of Arba, the greatest man among the Anakim.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, all right?
Shabbat Shalom, Akeem.
Hey, quick question. The Anakim, is that what, when like you hear some people when they're talking about the black guys are coming and they say Anaki or something like that? Is that what they're talking about?
No, the Anunnaki are not the same as the Anakim. I don't believe that. No, the Anunnaki are like gods from another world that came here.
Okay.
The Anunnaki,
in Africa, they got a group of people that put gold rings around their neck and it stretched their neck. I wonder if that's them.
Interesting point. That could be it. That could very well be it too.
You know, Moray, I have never paid. I really have not paid attention to this. This actually is my first actually paying attention to this. You know, I thank y'all for the Torah, because every time you read it is something more. You know, I'm just like, I'm astounded at this, but I never would have. So this actually might, or is this the ones from the spies when they spied out the land and were afraid of?
These are the people from where they came. Yes, the Anakim are those
Wow,
people.
I never knew their name. I don't know, and I mean, how could I not? But I missed it all these years.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that we overlook. You know, we don't connect dots like that, and that's just, you know, something we all do. You know, I do it as well at times. You know, the more that we can connect the dots, the better. That's why we go over this so many times, is so that we can start to see the mosaic and the bigger picture. That's why it's important to take time to really read and study the stuff like that, so that, you know, we can start making sense of this stuff. So it's nothing to be ashamed of or to bear like fault in that sense, but it's just a process of growth. You know, this is how we grow and how we develop. So, you know, this is just a part of it.
Well, I think it really answers some of the questions, because we do over here watch, what do you call it? Well, it used to be the History Channel, but now it's Ancient Aliens or whatever.
Really? They changed the name of the History Channel to something else?
Well, they mostly talk about ancient aliens, so to speak, to the point. But here's what's happening is they are touching on the giants. They are touching on all the places where these formations and giant blocks have been set up, and talking about, now they do talk about the Anaki as but they also talk about the giants as well. Somehow, sometimes they confuse them both together, but they're talking about the giants.
Mhm.
They're looking at the places. They're looking at the places where they have built whole cities.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's one in Turkey that's an older city, one of the oldest cities that they talk about.
Yep, that they're uncovering. Yeah.
India, they got steps that are just ridiculous. Like, who in the world made this?
Yes.
And I mean, who's to say? I really don't know.
We don't.
That for me, while those civilizations may have existed, it's almost safe to say those civilizations were also fallen races. They were, pretty much dark. Their practices were dark.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more of the mind, like, that it may be cool to know that stuff, but let's focus on the focus. We kind of talked about this like a couple of weeks ago. Whether or not those giant races were in existence, in what I'm looking at in terms of the kingdom, they have no relevance. They're just obstacles in the way. You see what I'm saying? And so we have to get through those obstacles. We have giant enemies to overcome.
Hey, yes.
Right. So those peoples are obstacles to what goal that we have to accomplish. So whether or not they were 12 feet, 15 feet, 24 feet tall, it lets us know that we have some opposition that can be considered very daunting and discouraging when we face it. So we have to remain faithful and true despite the ordeal or the encounters that we have that may discourage us. That's what it's about. Excuse me, at the end of the day. That's what I propose. You know what I'm saying? I think that our focus should be on, if we encounter this entity, if we encounter this situation or circumstance, how do we overcome it?
Can I ask a question?
Indeed.
I
You sound a little low, Iman.
oh, it's kind of to know these things is our curiosity because of the stories we've heard. However, I wanted to go back to, because it's just stuck there. So I just want your feedback on what I'm thinking. I wanted to go back to why we are tested, if you may.
Why we're what? I'm sorry.
Why we are tested.
Mm.
Why we are tested.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, what I see is, if we're not tested, we would not come to a conclusion of what we believe as true. We test us so we can maintain confidence and certainty in our own resolve, because it's because of our own belief, right, that we live out in our life according to how we see things, how we experience things, and what we our perception is about the experiences that we have, right? So I'm thinking that we are tested so that we can know within our own mind for certain that what the creator is, and the experiences that what the creator is taking us through is to help us to grow and to actually know him better and know what our purpose is on this planet. So that's what came to me when you talked about testing.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot test the creator because he is the standard by which we live. According to the scripture, is in him we live and move or have our being, our existence. So we definitely can't frustrate him by the testing.
Same heart.
So,
On that, you made me think of this passage from 1 Corinthians 3. We read 10 through 15. Okay. It says, according to the favor of Elohim, which was given to me, as a wise master builder, I have laid the foundation and another builds on it. But each one should look how he builds on it. For no one is able to lay any other foundation except that which is laid, which is Yahushua Messiah. And if anyone builds on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work shall be revealed, for the day shall show it up, because it is revealed by fire. And the fire shall prove the work of each one, what sort it is. That's it right there. If anyone's work remains, which he is built on, he shall receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, but so as through fire. And so the testing, the proving, wanting to see what is made, what is laid, and what quality of work we're doing, always is tested by fire. So the tests that we go through in life are intended to demonstrate the quality of our life, the quality of our worship, the quality of our faithfulness, the quality of, just who we are, our being. And y'all needs to know that in order to put us in the right position. Y'all can't just put us anywhere, especially if we're not able to, demonstrate who we are and qualify ourselves as such.
yeah.
Just think of what Yahushua endured. Yahushua got tested all the time. He was tested by his disciples. He was tested by the leaders. He was tested by people. He just didn't have a clear walk from, Bethlehem to Golgotha. It wasn't like he just had a clear path. He had to go through a lot. He had a very harrowing walk. Challenged on many occasions.
Yeah.
So
It
bear all that in mind.
Yeah, and it proves
Go
to
ahead, Iman.
us, and it also proves to ourselves, because to me, right,
Mm-hmm.
it is, we're proving ourselves how rested we are in what we actually believe, and the way we live, the life we live, how rested or what peace we have with it, because we're so influenced by everything. We're so distracted and influenced by everything around us that with a drop of a hat, we can actually change course, So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how rested are you in the direction you're going? How rested? And to me, that last test is to figure that out, how rested you are.
Good
You know,
word, Iman.
so,
Say wow. And told her. And so when we read from this, though, with Abraham and Sarah's life, there's a period of time which requires us to be still, to mourn, to grieve, to go over that reflective period of time of transition. I don't want to say loss. Abraham wasn't at a loss. Abraham was at a transitional point in his life. And I think many times when we deal with death, and I'm just saying this, but I've experienced loss of loved ones. But I think our perspective of death many times is so terminal. We really look at death like it's completely over, not understanding that energy, it transforms. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, it only transforms. Now, the idea, though, that we need to really get into our people's mind, into the minds of those who are breathing. I'm not saying they're living, but those who are breathing, is we need to help them become alive. We need to make sure we ourselves are living. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that we have to ensure that we are in alignment with the will of Yah. That is what life is. Life is in alignment with Yah's will. Anything outside of the will of Yah is not life. And so the way that we are able to re-encounter life after we transition into ancestorhood is by staying connected to life. And this is what the master told us. I got to find this verse real quick. Let's see. So it tells us, I think it says in John 11. This is what the master teaches. It says in verse 25 of John 11, Yahushua said to Martha in response to Eliezer being dead, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he dies, he shall live. And everyone that is living and believing in me shall never die at all. Right? And there's a time when he speak of, Elohim is Elohim of the living, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, is because, Elohim and Isaac and Jacob, though they're dead, yet they live. How do they still live? Because we invoke them. Their names, their memories are carried on. They inspire us even from beyond the grave. But it's their energy that resonates from their names and their lifestyle and their witness that provides us with life. And this is what Abraham here even understood, that even after Sarah's death, but you see here the years of the life of Sarah, it is life that we're focusing on. One of the things that the brother said today in this conversation we had, he said, I don't focus on the death of Jesus that much. And this is what he's quote unquote saying. I focus on his life. Although his death is important, his death is what provided us atonement, but it is the example that he lived that truly serves as a witness for us to do what we're supposed to be doing.
As you was saying that, question that posed was, are you inspired beyond the grave? And I think we get so set and caught up in once people die, like we forget about the memories, and we have to be inspired by those, encounters that we had with them while they were here, and be inspired. And I think society has taught us to be in such a mourning spirit that we really forget to be inspired, and even forget what energy is, that it does, transform. And so that hit me, because I'm like, am I inspired beyond the grave, whether it be the death of the Messiah or even my close, friends that have passed on, my grandparents? Am I inspired by what they left behind, and what is that doing for me? Or am I finding myself to continue to be in these situations of where I'm constantly mourning and not growing? Good word.
Praise job. And you see here, verse 3, then Abraham rose up from beside his dead. Like, we many times stay dead with the dead, right? We have to get up and rise and ascend this word rise up is very important. Let's go back to the. Don't do that. I don't want that either. I want this one. So it says, then Abraham stood up. I bet it's kuma, lakayam. Yep. This is the word to rise, to ascend, to go up. Kuma.
Mm-hmm.
And so this word, what did I do with that?
I think it's right there, kum. Oh.
Yeah, let me close this off again. Hold up. Here we go. Kum. To rise, to arise, to stand up, right? A literal and figurative sense, to abide, to accomplish, to be accomplished. When we rise up, we're accomplishing something. You're confirming, you're continuing, right? You're enduring. You're performing, right? All these ideas. You're strengthening. You're stirring up.
Yeah, I see that rouse up. Rouse.
To rouse up. Yeah.
Rouse up. Mm-hmm.
So in Abraham rising up, standing up beside his dad, it's like he's carrying Sarah with him, yet and still in memory, in spirit, and knowing what she would have him to do, or what she would want for him to do, is what he's carrying with him. And so, not as if, she's just dead and gone. No, she's not dead and gone. She's an ancestor, and that's something that we have to really understand. Even in Hebrew culture, ancestors are significant. They hold a very special place. No, they're resting, yes, but it's the wisdom that they imparted to us while they're alive. And even if we never encountered an ancestor, we can still reflect back to the spirit of what that ancestor is all about. And in so doing so, Abraham rising up from beside his dead, he now establishes Israel's first stake in the land. He purchases land for his deceased wife and ends up establishing the first step of the promise in the promised land. So again, this is something that we have to keep in mind. And this is something that the wicked do very well. In crisis, there is always opportunity. Whenever we are facing a crisis, we have to know in the midst of that crisis, there's an opportunity for something to come out of that will always propel you further. The key is to be able to find that opportunity in the midst of the crisis, though. But if you're just mourning and sulking and not able to see beyond the grave, then that's where you're going to stay. And this may not be a literal death that we're experiencing. This could be something, figurative, something that, has brought us to a place of mourning figuratively, something that has us in a place of a dead mentality, a dead mindset, right? We have to be able to acknowledge that, experience that, and then overcome that and stand up and rise up and establish and be roused up to do what is required of you in that, all right, even in light of that. And stay humble. Look at Abraham. Look, he rose up and bowed himself to the people of the land. But do you know how they recognize Abraham? How did this people recognize Abraham? You go back a previous chapter, they knew Abraham was the prince of Elohim. And so this is important for us to really, even understand how to conduct business. He's dealing with some very interesting names, Ephron and Zohar. I know Zohar is a name that means splendor. I'm not certain what Ephron means. What does it say? If it be your mind, your nefesh. Ephron. Ephron is a name that is fawn-like. From the word Efer. Efer is a calf. What do they mean by calf, though? Variation of 6082, a dawn, a deer, a fawn, a stag, a young hart, young roe. So it is youthfulness. It is dealing with youthfulness. To be dust, to be cast down to dust. Interesting. Dry earth, to breathe mortar, or interesting. So Efer is a name that is supposed to mean fawn-like. Then we have the name Zohar, one of my favorite names. I love Zohar. Zohar is a name that means tawny or whiteness, but it means to be splendid. This is where the book of the Zohar comes from, to dazzle, to have sheen. White in the sense of a brilliant glow. And so a fawn-like brilliance is who Abraham is encountering at the cave of Machpelah. And these are Hittites. Let's see what the word Hittite means. Children of Heth. Heth. Terror. Well, these were terrible people. Aboriginal Canaanites. Het means terror. And that's where the Hittite comes from. Machpelah. All these names have very significant meanings. A double portion, a fold.
Is that also a part of the alphabet?
What's that? Het?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That's the 7th letter. Aleph, Bet, Emel, Dalet, Hey, Wah, Zayin. The 8th letter, Het, is the 8th letter. So this double, this fold, is now serving as a nexus, not only for life and death, but also heaven and earth. This is a connection where the promise is actually starting to be unfolded in the place of this dual reality where the patriarchs are to be buried. And all the patriarchs were buried here. From Sarah moving forward. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and their wives are all buried here in Hebron. And so this business savvy that Abraham has, knowing that if he was just to be given the land, that land could be confiscated at any time. So what Abraham did was like, no, I'm going to purchase the land. We're going to make this a fair exchange, and I'm going to get the deed to this. You just give me this land, you can take it back anytime. But if I purchase this land from you, now I have the deed to the land. I can show possession of this land. That was so interesting. If you read the book of Jubilees, I believe it is the book of Jubilees, the Canaanites are actually squatting on land that they don't belong on. They call it Canaan land, but Canaan overstepped his bounds. Canaan was supposed to be more southern, but he ends up taking the land that was promised to Shem and occupying that. And so this is where Abraham now starts to write that which was not right. He started writing it. Shem's land, Jubilees. I don't know if you are familiar with this history. Let's see. Chapter 10. All right. Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy, which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river of Egypt, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea. And he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward from the border of Jordan and from the border of the sea. And Ham, his father, and Cush and Mitzrayim, his brother, said unto him, Thou hast settled in a land which is not thine, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so, for if you do so, you and your sons will fall in the land and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition you have settled, and by sedition will your children fall, and you shall be rooted out forever. Well, not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did it come by their lot. Cursed are you, and cursed shall you be beyond all the sons of Noah, by the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge, in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not hearken unto him, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon from Hamath to the entering of Egypt, and his sons until this day. He and his sons until this day. For this reason the land is named Canaan, and Japhet and his sons went toward the sea and dwelt in the land of their portion. And Madai saw the land of the sea, and it did not please him, and he begged a portion from Elam and Ashur and Arpachshad, his wife's brother, and he dwelt in the land of Media, near to his wife's brother to this day. And he called the dwelling place and the dwelling place of his sons Media, after the name of their father Madai. That's why Media, Persia is here. That's interesting. But that is how Canaan received his name, because the Canaanites overstepped their boundaries. A little history. So Abraham purchases the land. He buries his wife in Machpelah. Machpelah becomes the cave of all the patriarchs and matriarchs. Anything else from chapter 23? Anybody? All right. Chapter 24. We deal with the betrothal of Isaac and the marriage of Isaac and the oath made between Eliezer, servant of Abraham, and his master. And so here, in verse 2, we see the origin of the word testimony. Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh so that I make you swear by Yah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell, but go to the land, to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Yitzhak. And so there's a connection between your word and your seed, right? Because it's about manifestation. In order for this to manifest, this man is bound by his word to the degree where if he does not carry this through, then his seed would be affected, his progeny would be affected. And that's what the testimony is about. The testimony is about being a man of your word. And so your manhood will be brought into question if you are not one of your word, which is what this symbolizes. And so this is how ancients understood things. If you swear by that, you swear on your manhood, you swear on your progeny and everything. And so the terms of this agreement are made, and we see Abraham assure him that as long as you are walking with Yah during this particular assignment, you will not fail. And this is the message for us in life. As long as we are walking with Yah in whatever assignment Yah has given us, that assignment will not fail. But the imperative, again, the condition is for us to be walking with Yah. It says here in verse 7, Yah, the Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your seed I give this land, he sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. So that lets you know the messenger is before us. So what does that imply? What is the implication? If a messenger is going before us, what does the implication suggest?
I think it suggests that our way is set before us. He sets the path, you know. He sets a table before us in the presence of our enemies. That's how it's done. And then weren't we, messengers? That was a kind of a topic last week, last Shabbat. These messengers going before you. Like what Joshua always said, be strong and be of good courage, because Yah goes before you.
So how does that look for us? What are we doing in light of that?
I know, I can only say for myself, I know I'm learning more so to seek Yah's face about things that, sometimes in your mind you think something should be done, but you have to seek him, and he prepares a way, so the way will open up. If that's the path, it will open up. Then you'll meet somebody or whatever will happen, things will fall into place. That's how I see it.
And it's again a matter of being in that alignment, again, following the line in the way that the messenger has already laid. I think, let me stop saying that. When we look at, well, let me put it this way. There's a passage that we know of. It tells us this in Psalm 37. This is what we're told. And this is why the messenger is sent before us. And we'll get to another passage as well. 23. It says, the steps of a man are ordered by Yah, and he delights in his way. Though he falls, he is not cast down, for Yah is supporting his hand. But the key again is understanding the steps being ordered. We have to follow the order. And this is why Yah goes back, and we brought that messenger up, Imam, excellently. He says, I shall raise up for them a prophet like you out of the midst of their brothers. And I shall put my words in his mouth. This is the messenger. And he shall speak to them all that I command him. And it shall be the man who does not listen to my words, which he speaks in my name, I require it of him. The prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I did not command him to speak, or who speaks in the name of another mighty one, even that prophet shall die. This lets us know here we have to listen to the words of the prophet, the messenger that Yah has sent. The ordered steps are in relation to the one who Yah sends before you. And the key is to have that discerning spirit, though. And so what Abraham is doing is grooming his servant Eleazar for this particular assignment. And so for Eleazar, the messenger that he had to tune into was the spirit of Yah. For others, there may be times where there's a message that literally comes from the mouth of a messenger, of an individual. In this instance, and there may be instances where we have to also listen to the spirit of Yah. In the instance of Eleazar here, this was when he had to really discern the will of Yah through his encounters. And so he puts his hand under his thigh and swears concerning the matter. And so he's packed up with all the wealth of his master Abraham, and he goes out to meet the daughter of his master's son, the wife, of his master's son. And so he now is looking for these characteristics that he knows, for instance, Sarah had. He's looking for what he knows a virtuous woman would be for his master's son. Given the qualities that he knows of his master, given the qualities he knows of his son, he's looking for a compliment. And so this is why he's seeking these particular characteristics of what he's asking Yah to show him. Show kindness to my master Abraham. What? Let it be that the woman to whom I say, let down your jar to let me drink, she says, drink and let me water your camels too. He's looking for how would you describe a spirit that's moving like that, given we know how Abraham and Sarah were? What would you call that? How would you describe a woman acting in that stead? No particular way?
Could you phrase it again?
What characteristic trait is a woman operating in, given this description that Eleazar is asking for Yah to show him? So you're dealing with the spirit of hospitality. And you consider Abraham and Sarah, their encounters of individuals, they were very hospitable. They were servants. And so for this priesthood to come about, these people who are going to be the servants of the world and show the world how to serve Yah in spirit and truth, well, they had to have a spirit of leader servanthood. They were leaders, yes, but they were also servants. They were willing to serve. And this is commiserate. This is it. Show me the woman who is desiring not only to afford relief to me for this journey, but also relief to my animals that also sojourn with me. This is major. Let me give you drink. And so that is a heart condition. He's looking at the woman's heart. He's not asking for omens. He's not asking for anything other than to see the nature of this woman who would be ideal for Isaac. And before he ended speaking, Yah answered his prayer. Bam. She was very good looking, having known no man, and actually ended up drinking and filling up water for the camels. Very important. And so he remained silent in order to know whether Yah had prospered his way or not. He's just observing now. And many times this is what we have to do. We got to observe the situation. Just sit back and watch and just let Yah work or let Yah cook. That's what they're saying now. Let me cook, let me cook. Right? Let the situation be done and see what it is. And now he wants to know who she is. Whose daughter are you? And then the revelation, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor. Oh my goodness. I'm Abraham's servant. That's your brother. So he followed the messenger. Obviously, the messenger led him on his way. Now, these encounters are one that require discernment. That's where it gets very important as well. Observation, right? Awareness, knowledge, sensitivity. And a lot of times, again, and here it goes back to this. If Abraham wasn't clear in his instructions to Eleazar to go and find this woman for his son, well, then Eleazar's mission would have been jacked up as well. Because Abraham he would have still been mourning. And you see that with Jacob. Jacob was not that sound of mind after Joseph died. Joseph had that much of an impact on Jacob, where Jacob was like, I'm just going down to my head grieving. I'm going down to the grave grieving. Jacob was dead, pretty much. And I'm sure that we've seen people where there may have been something tragic that happened to them or someone of their family that just remained dead. So we have to always rise above the circumstances in which we find ourselves, despite how challenging and trying they may be. That's what is being pointed to here. Life is always just ahead of us. Life is always just ahead of us, but many times we may fall short. Many times we may go the other way. Many times we may get discouraged and be like, this is enough. So with this circumstance, we see the life of Sarah resonating and still emanating through Abraham, resonating and still emanating through Isaac, because Isaac could have easily given up too. So the household was able to remain intact. after Sarah. And this is before Abraham married. So this is not Abraham being remarried yet. This is Abraham now functioning as a widow. Thinking of the future. Abraham could have easily just thought of himself in this matter. But what does Abraham do? He thinks of his son. He thinks of the future generations to come through his son and the promise that Yah had told him that his seed shall inherit. But if my seed inherits this, my son is going to now need a seed to inherit after him. So it's called long-term vision, long-term planning. These are things that we have to develop. These are things that we have to instruct our children and our youth to start planning on those senses. And it's just about vision. Chayei Sarah. When we look at that word Chayei, life, we're going to look at it in two senses. Chayei. 24:16. Let's do this quickly. Not that one. All right. Chayei. That's high, life. It suggests to be alive and living, to be raw and active, to be vivacious and healthy. It is a bond. It is the covenant of oneness, to be engaged in giving and participating. It is the ascending action of our positions and gifts from Elohim or of Elohim. An activity of giving which establishes receiving. It is a workman of Yah. To be alive is to be a workman of Yah. To be kept and maintained alive. The covenanted gift of life. It is to revive. It is an exchange and sharing of foundational principles and concepts. Activities that bonds, activities of interchange. It is productive processes. This is what life is all about. That's a more in-depth definition of it. So here, it is understood to be alive, raw flesh, fresh plants, waters, and years, to be strong. As a noun, especially in the feminine singular and masculine plural, it is life, whether figurative or literal. To be of age, to be alive, to have an appetite, a company, a congregation, multitude, right? So when we're looking at all these ideas of life, this is what it's about. It's about being productive in the process. And so Abraham was alive and he remembered the life of his Isha, Sarah, and was moving forward productively. And so he encounters his master's family, makes the arrangements, blesses Yah, always acknowledges Yah in the matter, tells his story, gets his master's son's wife, and fulfills his assignment, accomplishes the assignment. And that's the key. He was bound under oath to accomplish this assignment. He does it, and then he's released from it. But he's still in the service of his master. So in life, when we have assignments, we have to finish the assignment. And then when that assignment is done, you're released. And when you're released, then you still have to understand that you're still a part of this overall work and structure of Yah bringing forth life to this planet. That's what this is about. And we know that the life of Sarah, Chayei Sarah, it means of royalty. Sarah's name suggests the life of a princess, the life of royalty. And that is what we are in Mashiach. That is what we are in Israel. Israel, they say, is Sar, right? El, Israel. So that is also cognate of this particular name. We, ought to be noble. Here's the question though. What makes us noble? What makes Israel noble? What makes us a kingdom of priests? What makes us a royal priesthood? What is it that makes us royal?
Keeping the Torah,
Exactly.
living the Torah life.
Simple and plain, Ima. Quite simple and plain. He says, if you keep my commandments and obey my voice, then you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a set apart nation. 19:5 and 6 of Exodus. If you diligently obey my voice and guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a noble people, a noble people. That's what Sarah was, right? You shall be to me a reign of priests and a set apart nation. Simple and plain, just what you was saying. What makes us noble, what makes us dignified, what makes us royal is our observance of the king's word. That's what sets us apart. This is the simplicity of Yah's word. This is the beauty of Yah's word. This is the practicality of Yah's word. Now the challenge is for us to carry it out. In light of the matters that may make us mourn and grieve and be like, woe is me, and even ourselves perhaps facing matters of death, we have to still endure. Blessed is he who endures to the end. Because we all have our hardships that we face. I'm sure everybody in the room today can tell us something that we're facing, that you're facing, that is challenging, that is pressing, that is not easy to swallow and bear, that adds stress to our life. Be it a health matter, be it a financial matter, be it a relationship, be it a business, be it whatever we're facing. We have those tests that we're facing. And so the key is to, again, find the opportunity and find the silver lining, even in that, and move with intention in Yah to where we're supposed to be. And so as he goes and accomplishes this, notice that he encounters one of the most conniving individuals in all of Scripture. Laban ben Nahor, the brother of Rebekah, the father of Rachel and Leah, the uncle of Jacob. And so here he is looking to pounce on the opportunity because he runs out when he hears that there's gold and silver. He runs out and gets this man, brings him in the house. It says the young woman informed those of her mother's house these matters about who had come, and Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran out to meet the man to the fountain. He put, what you, he's like, girl, where you get that nose ring and bracelets from? That's gold. Oh, this man out in the fountain gave me, he out. He's out. Like, how can we take advantage of this? And he's only thinking in a carnal sense. He's not thinking about the spiritual ramifications of anything. Because why? Eventually, this man becomes an enemy of the house of Abraham by going after Abraham's grandson, Jacob, the son of his sisters, of his sister. He ends up wanting to take out the son of his sister. And so we got to be able to discern the spirits of individuals we encounter on this journey, particularly as we're going about fulfilling an assignment. Now, for Eleazar, Abraham's servant, fortunately for him, he didn't get to really experience Laban's conniving nature. His pop still kept him somewhat in order. Bethuel was like, you know what? We got this. As you look here in verse 50, Laban's answer, yeah. That's cool. But Bethuel was the one who kept everything more so in order. And so Rebecca agrees to go. And as she goes with this caravan, she encounters Isaac. What is Isaac doing? Connecting with Yah. Connecting with Yah. He was walking in the field and meditating. And so this is huge. And so these are lessons that we can definitely learn to implement into our life. The well of the oath where Yah sees. This is where Isaac was coming from. The Ir Lachai Ro'i is a very spiritual place in the promised land. And so his blessing was coming as he was connecting with Yah. That's the thing. If we want our blessings to flow, we have to stay connected. Connection determines the flow. You just think of like our utilities. To stay connected, you will continue to receive the service. If you're servicing and making the installments necessary for the service to continue. That's life. This is how we continue to receive the blessings from Yah. Are we connected to Yah? Are we meditating? Are we praying? Are we studying? Are we being faithful in our obedience to Yah? So that Yah's promises and his blessings can rain down on us. Is there anything else from chapter 24 that anybody got? '24. All right. Chapter 25. We deal with generation of Abraham's seed through Keturah and Ishmael's seed. And so one of the interesting names is this here, Ephir. Anybody know who this, or what the significance of Abraham's son Ephir is in Hebrew tradition? I don't know if y'all ready for this.
Look, never even looked at it. Kind of just glanced over it.
Ephir. Ephir, also Ephraim, Hebrew Ephir, was a grandson of Abraham, according to Genesis 25:4, whose descendants Jewish historian Flavius Josephus claimed had invaded Libya. Josephus also claimed that Ephir's name was the etymological root of the continent of Africa. According to the Bible, he was a son of Cain. According to Cleodemus Malchus, Ephir's daughter married Hercules. Ephir, Africa, is where we are told that Africa receives its name, from the grandson of Abraham. This is what Josephus says. And also, what's my guy's name who wrote From Babylon to Timbuktu? Babylon to Timbuktu. What's his name?
Alexander Hilsuk.
No, that's Rudolph Windsor. Rudolph Windsor.
Oh,
Rudolph Windsor, From Babylon to Timbuktu, right? You're thinking of the two Babylons.
Oh, yeah.
From Babylon to Timbuktu, Rudolph Windsor is the Hebrew brother who also quotes Josephus, and that Ephir was the namesake of where Africa got its name. So it's very interesting to note. So the name Africa has been connected with the Phoenician word afar, which means dust. This is in Phoenician. The Phoenician tradition tells us that it's been connected to two Phoenician terms, Friki or Farika, which means land of corn or fruit. There's also been hypothesized that Africa may have been derived from a Phoenician root, Faraka, or Farak, meaning separation or diaspora. The Romans give credit for popularizing the name of Africa in the West. They use the name Africa Terra, meaning land of the Afri, a singular version of fair, for the northern part of the continent. Its capital was Carthage, which is modern-day Tunisia. The story told by some historians is that the Romans got the term from the Carthaginians as a native term for their country. The Latin suffix "ica" can sometimes be used to denote a land. Another theory is that, I don't agree with that one. I ain't gonna read that. The historian Leo Africanus attributed the origin of Africa to the Greek word Afrik. Afrik means cold or horror. When combined with the negating prefix of a, it means land free of cold and horror. Well, that is where some of these origins come from. Mm-hmm. So just a little side note with Afrik and fair, and that note there. But these genealogies are important because these people, go on to identify the Midianites. We know who the Midianites are, right? And so Ishmael also comes about, and we get from Ishmael these individuals here, and they prefigure in ways, and we'll come across them again sometimes, but Anything else from the Torah portion dealing with Chayei Sarah? Okay. In Enoch, we read from 20 to 25, 21 to 25. And this is something that I do want to always again point out. Let's do this here. I'm gonna close this. I should have did it. Now. When we think of messenger, when we think of angel, and again, a lot of the times we specifically think of them as angelic beings, like a race, like a spirit, just completely spirit. However, we also have to look at the angel, the Malak, Chayei, and God. What is that? Chayei? How did I get to Chayei already? Really? Really? Oh, Malak means to dispatch as a deputy. You could be a messenger of Elohim. As an angel, you can also classify an angel as a prophet, a priest, or a teacher. An ambassador, an angel, a king, a messenger. So when we're dealing with angels, we got to be able to contextualize who's who and what's what. And it's very important. So when we're dealing with Enoch, the angels stand who connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons. Okay. So, the thing I want to point out here. Let's see. So, it is especially clear of these two angels here, Samchazi and Azazel, of whom the fall is narrated in Targum Pseudo Jonathan to Genesis 6:4. They appear as the Nephilim, undoubtedly in consequence of an incorrect interpretation of this word as those that fell from heaven. The story of these two angels is found in brief form in Yahut Genesis 44. It has been published originally in the Midrash. But they're saying that these angels give us the thought that they fell from heaven. Okay. So when we're dealing with angels in this context, it gives us a little more insight. As in the case of man, so in that of the angels, woman was the cause of the lapse. Naamah, the wife of Noah, was one of the women whose great beauty tempted the angels to sin. As regards Azazel and Samhazeh, mentioned above, it was a young woman named Ishtar, wow, that proved fatal to their virtue. These angels, seeing God's grief over the corruption of the sons of men, volunteered to descend to earth for the purpose of proving their contention that, as they had foretold at the creation of Adam, the weakness of man was alone responsible for his immorality. In their new surroundings, they themselves yielded to the blandishments of women. Samhazai especially became passionately enamored of Ishtar. She, however, would yield to his importunities only on the condition that he tell her the name of Yah, by virtue of which he was to return to heaven. As soon as she possessed the secret, she rose to heaven herself, and God rewarded her constancy by assigning her a place in the constellation of Kima. Samhazeh and his companion thereupon took to themselves wives and begat children. Metatron soon after sends word to Samhazeh concerning the approaching flood. The announcement of the world's and his own children's impending doom brings Samhazeh to repentance, and he suspends himself midway between heaven and earth, in which penitent position he has remained ever since. Azazel, who deals in rich adornments and fine garments for women, continues in his evil ways, seducing men by his fanciful wares, hence the goat sent to Azazel on the Day of Atonement. Variants of this story are not rare. The angels that fell from heaven, seeing the shameless attire of the men and women in Cain's family, had intercourse with the women, and in consequence were deprived of their garment of flaming fire and were clothed in ordinary materials of dust. They also lost their angelic strength and stature. The Samech Mem was the leader for a whole band of rebellious angels. In the book of Enoch, 18 angels are named as chief participators in the conspiracy to mate with women. Their leader, and Azazel, is one of the number. However, this one, Azazel, imparts to men all sorts of useful as well as secret knowledge in the art of beautifying eyes. So the later Jewish tradition, shocked at the notion of the angels' fall, insisted upon interpreting B'nai Elohim as referring to men. The Samaritan version reads, B'nai, what's that, Salmanah. And then the Sefer HaYashar, the book of Jasher, ascribes the shameful conduct to magistrates and judges. Okay. The Kabbalists give the older view. In the Zohar, Azah and Azel fall and are punished by being chained to the mountains of darkness. According to another passage, these two rebelled against the Most High and were hurled from heaven, and they now teach men all kinds of sorcery. Allusions to these fallen angels occur also in the Quran, but their names are given as Harut and Marut. Their fate in Arabic tradition is identical with that of Samhazeh and Azael. The refusal to worship Adam brings on the fall, just as it does in the Midrash Bereshit Rabbati. So, the Kabbalists refer to the angels as the older tradition does as literal messengers from heaven, whereas the later Jewish tradition, I don't know what necessary century that was from, it gives the opposite view of these actually being man and individuals in power, magistrates and judges. So even in Israel, there are two different notions of that. So when Enoch is read, you'll have two different perspectives. I personally side with the side of those being men, because in the resurrection, Yahushua says that angels don't have intercourse with man. It's impossible for them to have intercourse. So when you're dealing with that, you have to just go with, I would say, even then, what resonates with your heart. In terms of that. Now, again, I don't think that's going to determine whether or not we make it into the kingdom, because you believe angels literally fell from heaven, or you think that those are men. I don't think that's going to be, well, you're not going to make it into the kingdom because you thought that, so I wouldn't weigh that so much on that. But again, understanding the opposition that we face dealing with these messengers. So Enoch's visions here are just giving us insight into what is to come in terms of judgment. And judgment is a very important part of the Torah and the rest of the scriptures as relates to repairing the age and correcting the errors of humanity. Judgment is required, you know. And in order to exact judgment, we have to be on the right side of prophecy. And being on the right side of prophecy, again, that just requires us remaining faithful. That's why the scriptures tell us in 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, that we will be able to punish all disobedience when our obedience is made complete. And that's the key for us to understand how significant it is for us to just remain faithful to Yah and his Torah. Were there any questions from Enoch? Any points that stood out in our reading of it that anyone had?
When he's talking about chapter 21, when he proceeded to where things were chaotic, what period of time is this?
What is what? I'm sorry?
What period of time is this?
That's a great question, Iman. That's a great question.
Is this in the beginning when things were chaotic, or?
And you know the thing, and it just really dawns on me that this is the chaos ensues anytime the kingdom is not established on earth. So even when you go back to Genesis 1 and you read about the formlessness and void, that was because there was a gap. There was, you know, the missing presence of the kingdom on earth. And so it's the same even today. Right now, we're in an age of chaos. So it really just relates to any time the kingdom is not established. Past, present, and even future. Because the thing about prophecy is that you're going to see the truth in essence. And that essence is going to be transcendent to time, because truth is transcendent to time. Truth applies to when it applies. And so I see it as if he's seeing all the times of chaos, but it's like, it's the same thing. One age from the next. I mean, it's like what Solomon was saying in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. What has been is what shall be, and what shall be is what, you know, what is even. So I think he's seeing again a mosaic of history. I initially thought he was seeing the beginning, but as I was thinking about it more, I'm like, this applies to every age when chaos is present.
It can definitely be today.
Undeniable. Because you got to really think about it. In order to reconcile present, you have to reflect on the past. In order to see the future, you got to put the past and present in perspective and make sense of it and make your projection. I mean, we can make a projection of what life will be like in 10 years based on the present conditions of where we are now, if we don't take an active part in correcting the trajectory of where the earth is headed, or where humanity is headed on earth. And that's the thing. We have to be actively engaged in the repair of creation and in the repair of the covenant. If we're not engaging in repairing the covenant and bringing Yah as his witnesses to people, it's not going to come through us. But that's our part. That's our assignment. Our assignment is to bear faithful witness that Yah lives wherever we go. First and foremost, that's why it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness. Then everything else will be added to you. But we got to get busy on both sides. We got to get busy. and bring forth his kingdom. The kingdom has an economy. The kingdom is very well established economically. The kingdom has, a ministry of health, a very important ministry of health that keeps everybody in a place of wholeness and well-being. So there's all kinds of aspects and elements that we got to assure that we're carrying out on assignment with Yah. What you get? What did you get?
You what?
Yes. Well, that's a great question, Imar. Anything else? Anybody else have any other questions? Any comments? Anything that they saw that really stood out to them? Chapter 22 is interesting. Kind of dealing with the spirit of Cain and Abel, and the one who makes soup in heaven. And that's really filing a complaint. And the fact that the spirits were asking Enoch, why do you want to know the truth, Enoch? What's your inquiry for? And why do you want to know the truth? Like, that's something that's huge. That's something that we have to really ask ourselves, what is the purpose of that? If you get the truth, what's the purpose of knowing the truth? Now, what you going to do with it? In the words of J.O. Felony. What you going to do when you get it, right? If someone's speaking, it's kind of choppy if you are. Brother Ryan, is that you? Can you say something again, Brother Ryan?
Pocket dial, Bluetooth transition. About to go pick my son up. I apologize.
Okay. Yeah. All good. Were you gonna say something?
Not at the moment, no, sir.
Okay.
You can bless that.
They handed these and they went out. All right. So Enoch just gives us a good vision of the righteous and the wicked. And this is pretty much the entire scriptures throughout its entire telling of what is to take place. Is it delineates the life of the righteous from the life of the wicked. And this is the distinction that we have to make. This is what the priests do. The priests distinguish the clean from the unclean, the set apart from the profane, and instruct in Torah in order to become the clean and the set apart. That's the simplicity of all the scriptures. If we know who's who and what's what and what we're supposed to be doing in light of that, we can walk literally on water. We can walk on water. This is how we receive that crown. This is how we receive that aroma, that smell that he smelled that is only given to these particular trees, that fragrance. It shall be given to the righteous and the holy. This is the tree of life. Its fruit shall be food for this. Is what we read just this past week, Revelation 22. It shall be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of Yah, right? It says when we enter the gates of the city, this is where we will have access and the authority to eat from the tree of life. This is the tree of life. How beautiful is this tree and fragrant. Its leaves are fair, and its blooms are very delightful in appearance. What is it about this tree? It's the tree of life. So this is what now here's the question, according to Revelation, how do we access that tree? What does it say has to be done in order to access that tree? Revelation 22, I believe, verse 14. Anybody remember what it said?
It's saying, blessed are they that do his commandments, are they that might have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city.
Simple as that again. Blessed are they who are doing his commandments so that they have the right or the authority to eat from the tree of life, which they enter in through the gates of the city. Simple.
Here's the commandments once again.
It's in your face.
In your face.
And see, that's what's so beautiful about that is that it's the standard. Everyone has the same opportunity to have access to the same blessing. But if I was saying, oh, well, I believe this and I believe, it rules out everybody's opinion about things, and it only makes it a matter of what says Yah. It even rules out belief. This is not even a belief. This is about a principle. This is more about faithfulness than about faith. It's more about knowing what is expected of you. You talk about the science of spirituality, that's the simplicity of it. The truth of the matter is Yah's word. The more we are doing Yah's word, the more access we will have to Yah's blessings. And so, example, Shamaronite woman. Now, this is a perfect example because we talked about who these people from Samaria were. Who are these people from Samaria? Who are these Sumerians?
10 tribes that had mingled.
Remember, the 10 tribes are gone by the time the Sumerians come.
Oh.
So actually, there was some residue there, but these are people who are transplants. Most of them are transplants.
Right. Well, are they the product of the 10 tribes having been mingled?
Somewhat.
Uh-huh.
Let's take a look.
I always thought, yes.
Okay, the political the fourth year Hezekiah, Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. At the end of 3 years, they took it. The inhabitants were deported to various parts of Assyria, and to the cities of the Medes, and colonies were sent to take their place. The colonists were soon after troubled by lions, which they regarded as divine visitation due to their ignorance of the manner of the God of the land. At their request, an Israelite priest was sent to them who settled at Bethel, with the result that a mixed form of religion was established, partly Israelitish and partly idolatrous. This is why Yahudim didn't deal with them.
Yes.
The next reference to the people of Samaria regarded as the remnant of Israel is when Josiah suppressed the high places among them and collected money to repair the house of Yah from Manasseh to Ephraim and of all the remnant of Israel. That the Israelite element still held its own in the north is shown by the incidental mention that there came certain from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria in the time of Jeremiah, desiring to join in the offerings of the temple. Later on, and this is the last mention of Samaritans in the Old Testament, their claim to a participation in the building of the temple was rejected by Zerubbabel, no doubt on the grounds of their mixed origins. So there they were mixed, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, what we're bearing in mind is that these were a mixed people. These were not just indigenous Israelites.
Right.
And so Yahushua, encountering this woman at this well, was like, give me something to drink. Something like Eleazar did to Rebecca. But the woman was like, why are you talking to me? You don't deal with me in my kind. But Yahushua, seeing way beyond the scope of what is facing him, was like, if you knew the gift of Elohim and who it is that says to you, give me to drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Right? And so he ups the ante, so to speak, and offers her everlasting life. He makes an offer to an individual who typically is not dealt with by Israel, because what he's doing, what is he looking at in this matter? What is he dealing with in this matter?
He's dealing with her spirit, really. He's dealing with her heart, like, just like the one person says, if you would just drop some crumbs, you know what I'm saying? I know I will be blessed. But she was kind of like, oh, what you talking to me for?
Right.
Oh, now you're talking to me? Yeah. To her, she had an attitude.
Yes, she did. And almost rightfully so, though, because
and rightfully like, so.
Better than us. And we know we can be like that. We can be snooty booties, you know what I mean?
Who knows what the issue could have been if she was seen drawing water or doing something, you know what I'm saying? We don't know what the repercussions could have been too.
Right.
That's just my thought on it.
So what's our takeaway? What can we take away from this ordeal and this experience? So from both sides, you know what I mean? Like, when we look at both sides of this story, we can see, one, we shouldn't always cast ourselves off. And two, we shouldn't always, given our discerning spirit, though, we shouldn't always, be willing to put off others as well. We got to see the heart of the matter.
Well, I know that I've learned so much with you and others that, but more so, you have gone into the Siddur with us. You've gone into, the Zohar and things like that most would not bother to do. And that is an issue, I think, that is constantly like, I'm not doing that. You cast something off and it stifles our growth sometimes. When we if we remained in that, just like my husband used to say that the Hebrew is Yiddish. A lot of our people, they don't understand. that Yiddish is something other than the modern Hebrew or whatever. And so then they will not try to learn it.
Yeah.
And so I would say that that's one side, and then the other side is judging and not giving it an opportunity that possibly you'll meet someone that is willing to share and to bless you.
Hold on 1 second. What's up, man?
We're having a good time. They're breaking bottles in the middle of the street.
Oh man.
Yeah. Gonna go clean it up. No, they got it. Y'all gonna get that cleaned up.
Go get the dustpan and the broom and get that all up. I gotta use your brains.
I'm gonna try to give y'all a pass. So y'all wasn't supposed to go outside anyway.
Y'all didn't complete this stuff. Y'all got to explain some more on particularly number 1. I'm like, why are you knocking like this? Don't throw that away. You don't need that in here. That don't go in here.
Okay.
Get the one from the garage. And in the basement. They just found it on the side, probably. Close the door, Masai. When y'all get done, y'all got 200 push-ups and squats and crunches to do. So y'all got all this energy to destroy stuff, destroy your body, and build it up.
Oh,
They're throwing bottles in the middle of the street.
oh my goodness. What are they thinking about? Oh boy. Boys.
Boys and boys. So, yeah.
I think that's the only thing what really came to my mind was it was a quote unquote Jewish man that took the time to teach Sidney Poitier how to read because he couldn't even read. You know, when you think of that someone that they may on their side may say, I'm going to push this person off. He's illiterate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But this man taught him how to read and look at what his life became.
Yeah, the problem.
I'll put them shoes on now. Shut the doors.
Oh. And the thing for us, even dealing with quote unquote Ashkenazic Jewry and Western expression of Jewry, it's a point of entrance. And this is the challenge for us. This is something that we have to learn to humble ourselves about and what's called be passed under the rod. Like they are practicing our culture that they have adopted, about what's this? 1,300 years ago, right? And so for them, they have a continuity of 1,300 years of cultural practicing of Torah. We, on the other hand, have a huge interruption of cultural consciousness. And so there is wisdom, and it says a wise man is one who learns from anybody. He learns from anybody. We cannot close ourselves off to what has been done by the Ashkenazic and Sephardi Jew, particularly those who are desiring to worship beyond spirit and truth. There's Jews, European Jews, who truly and honestly love Yah. They do it from the heart. And so those who are like that, because we've had righteous converts almost in every age. And so these converts who are serving Yah in spirit and truth, they have much to teach and share. And we can actually learn from them. And then we can just reacculturate it because the spirit with us, that's what's going to give us that reconnection to Yah. We have that revelational connection with Yah. And that's something that's much more powerful. So that's what we got. Y'all need to find like a paper bag or something to put that in. No, a paper bag. That's going to break through that. A paper bag. There's a paper bag right on the bottom of the thing over there. Is that a paper bag? Paper? Paper? Messiah. That's not a paper bag. It's underneath the rack. All right. Anyone else? Is there any other one? Any other thoughts before we wrap up and close out with prayer? I gotta refocus some attention myself with some of these guys I got. Get them engaged. Okay. So, oh, we will close out with the Aleinu prayer and move forward. Shabbat is now setting earlier now that we've fallen back an hour.
Yeah, it
So,
feels too early.
right?
Yes.
So, what we will do today is close out. Let's do Ein Kelohenu. I like Ein Kelohenu. No one like our King.
Yes.
Here we go. Oh, this is a beautiful song here too. Yep, they got it in translation. All right. So we'll close out with this here. I'll do a Kaddish first and then we'll go to there. So hallelujah, hallelujah, and hallelujah. Yitgadal vayitgadesh shemei rabah. Amen. ועמד יברך כרותי, וימלך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב וימרו. אמן. יהי שמי רב המבורך, לעולם ולעמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו. אלה בין כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבקתה ונקמתה דמירם בעמה וימרו אמן. אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו, מי כאלוהינו, מי כאדוננו, מי כמלכנו, מי כמושיענו. נודה לאלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למלכנו, נודה למושיענו. ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך מלכנו, ברוך מושיענו. אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מלכנו, אתה הוא מושיענו, אתה הוא שקירו אבותינו לפניך את כרת הסמים. So if we read the translation of that, It says, none compares to our El, to our ruler. None compares to our sovereign, to our deliverer. Who compares to our El, to our ruler? Who compares to our sovereign, to our deliverer? Let us thank our El, our ruler. Let us thank our sovereign, our deliverer. Let us praise our El, our ruler. Let us praise our sovereign, our deliverer. You are our El, our ruler. You are our sovereign, our deliverer. You are the one to whom our ancestors offered incense. Say loud.
Amen.
So
Amen.
all praise to Yah. I pray you all have an excellent rest of your Shabbat. We will pick back up on Monday at 6 a.m. We can go forward from there. So much love to you all. Y'all bless.
Shalom, shalom.
You
Hey,
well.
Shabbat shalom. Do the same.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom.